It's the Alberta Golf Podcast, and it's moving day at the U.S. Open. I'm Terry Evans, along with Art New, head pro at Trestle Creek Golf Resort, just 56 short minutes west of Edmonton, just south of the Yellowhead, just before Entwistle. And it's a busy day out there today, Art.
Yes, we've got the Edmonton Golf Association out here, and we're hosting their two-person best ball this year. So we've got 100 or so players out there battling the elements. It's not raining right at the moment, which is great, but it's a little cool for June 19th.
Well, and we'll talk about that in a second because you brought it up in our previous podcasts with Moving Day at the Masters and then the PGA Championship about the necessity of double-digit temperatures overnight. But the weather has not been very cooperative this year, this spring, and as we get ready for, well, as we record this, tomorrow is the first day of summer. So
That's right.
we kind of missed the spring, didn't we?
Yeah, no kidding. You know, I don't remember a year like this. I've been in Edmonton for 36 years now, and I don't remember a spring like this ever.
Yeah.
It's been brutal.
Yeah. Well, I know it's here in St. Albert and Edmonton. It's been raining pretty hard here this morning, so maybe not an ideal day to be hitting balls or golfing, but we do remind you that the Canada Golf Card Driving Range is a sponsor of the Alberta Golf Podcast at 13510 Ellerslie Road Southwest. So you can go and work on your game. They've got great deals. Follow them on Facebook and on Instagram. Also, thanks to our sponsor, mixedbag.com, mixdbag.com. You can elevate your golf experience with quality, stylish clothing for men and women. Blending performance and comfort at a competitive price. And it's mixdbag.com. Saw Stu earlier this week at the Oak and Ale Golf Tournament. And we actually saw each other on June the 12th at the Teeing Up for Kids Golf Tournament, benefiting the Kids with Cancer Society in memory of Dan McHewitt. And that was a terrific day at the Highlands.
Absolutely.
And I do have something to mention from that. I offered up as a silent auction item, or a live auction item, I should say, a podcast opportunity, either with my Reluctantly podcast or somehow through, the business of whoever had the high bid. And your pal Chuck Dalton ended up with high bid.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chuck's awesome.
Well, Chuck said he's known you for quite some time. He's a longtime member at the Highlands, and Chuck is a barrister/solicitor at Coulter Dalton Wolanski, and you can go to their website at cdwlaw.ca, specializing in corporate, commercial, real estate, wills, and estates, all of the things that go along with that. So thank you very much, Chuck, for high bid for my podcast opportunity. And he said, just talk about, the law firm or, mention it during the Alberta Golf Podcast when you're talking to Art. So,
Perfect.
Yeah. So once again, Chuck Dalton at Coulter Dalton Wolanski, thank you so much. A terrific high bid for the Kids with Cancer Society from the golf tournament on June 12th at Highlands.
Wonderful.
Well,
Art, I think the total raised for the kids with cancer was over 80,000. So that was awesome.
Yes, we did. I think it was over $84,000, $28,000 in the live auction alone. So it was a pretty terrific day, and we had great weather for it. There's been times where we've only finished a portion of the tournament. Sometimes as few as 7 holes, but we got all 18 in on June the 12th. So that was pretty terrific.
You know what? This was the first year I didn't play in it. I sponsored a hole as always with my friend Dave Casely from Raymond James. We co-sponsor the par 3, and I missed you when you were coming through. I ran out for a second, and anyway, pouring drinks out there and having fun with everybody coming through. But it got cold the last hour and a half. When you're just sitting there, it got a little cool, but it was great.
That's why whenever you're at a charity golf tournament, make sure you pay special attention and acknowledge the volunteers, because like you said, you're sitting there at a hole for the better part of 6 hours, and the volunteers are what makes a golf tournament go around. So yeah,
Absolutely.
It's a pretty good deal there. Things are going well at Canada Golf Card Driving Range.
Yeah, when the weather's good, it's been fabulous. But obviously, like everyone in our industry this year, numbers are down a little ways, but it's all weather related, unfortunately. On the nice days, everybody's busy. So hopefully with the start of summer coming up tomorrow, things will change and we'll start seeing some heat.
Well, weather is a situation here, and we've talked about it before. Heat during the day is one thing, but you like to have double-digit temperatures overnight. That helps a golf course in every aspect of its growth and of its maturity, regardless of how old the golf course is, because it's really starting new every year, isn't it?
100%. Mother Nature is such a big influencer in Alberta, especially northern Alberta where we are. It's I'd hate to be a superintendent and trying to figure things out. And over the last 4 decades of my career, I've watched things evolve on that side of the business. Whether it's tarps, blowing air under the tarps, Imca insulators under the tarps. There's all sorts of things. Straw on the greens. It's the constant learning experience for these guys, and they do a fabulous job. Our superintendent out here, Kevin Douglas, does a wonderful job at Trestle, and all the supers. I when I was with Club Car and Canada Golf Card, I traveled all over and met a lot of those guys, and they're friends of mine. And they really don't get enough credit throughout the year, but they are, the guys that keep everything together and make the golf courses beautiful for us to enjoy. And it's a tough gig in northern Alberta.
Sure is. I can't imagine how much stress the superintendents would go through trying to get a golf course ready, and then maintained and during play for a major for the PGA, whether it
Oh,
be the Masters or PGA Championship, or like we're dealing with this weekend. It's moving day at the U.S. Open at Shinnecock Hills Golf Course on Long Island.
yeah, I couldn't imagine for a major championship what they go through, and there's guidelines they have to follow for the USGA for this event. Obviously Augusta, with the Masters. So yeah, they now a lot of them bring in volunteers too from other golf courses for this event. There's usually a lottery, and teams from other golf courses will come for the 2 weeks before and help get the course like just in pristine conditions. Like I said, the superintendents and their crews don't get enough recognition. Even today at Trestle, with the weather the way it was, I think our superintendent and his team were a little more stressed about making sure it was playable today for this event than I was. Obviously I wanted to get the event out there. It's a big day for us out here as far as revenue goes and so on. But our superintendent and his team were doing everything possible to make the course playable, which is awesome. And that's what they do every day. So we're very thankful.
And you know what? Honestly, it's worth the drive. It's such an enjoyable golf course to play. TrestleCreek.ca is that?
Yes.
Yeah, TrestleCreek.ca is the website to find out everything you need to know about Trestle Creek. So go out there and play, camp.
Yeah, yeah. There's, we're kind of limited. Usually we have some stay and play lots. We're limited at the moment, but we'll be starting to develop phase 6 right away, which is the next phase. And on the new 9, the holes are shaped. We've got 3 completed, and we'll be finishing up those ones hopefully this fall on another 3, and then the final 3 probably the next year. That's the goal right now. And so normally we have stay and play lots. We're a little limited now, but they can always call and check. But there are campgrounds 5 minutes away as well in Pembina, on the Pembina River. And yeah, it's worth it. It's a great
idea.
track.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Camp at the Pembina River and then whip over for a quick round or 3 over the course of a long weekend or whatever the case.
Absolutely. And if we do get some hot weather, they have a wonderful float tubing business that actually got destroyed a few years ago, but they're back up and running. We just need some heat because you don't want to jump in
Yeah,
the river right now. It's a
no
little
kidding.
chilly.
Moving day at the U.S. Open, Shinnecock Hills Golf and Country Club, Golf Club on Long Island. This is the history of Shinnecock Hills is something else. So, if I remember correctly, it opened up and it was the very first golf course clubhouse that was made in North America. And it was a design that was basically mimicked by golf courses for the rest of time up until even today. It was like early 1890s that it was.
Yeah, so the golf course was established in 1891. And this was an interesting fact. The first 12 holes, because it was a 12-hole course to begin with, was designed by Willie Davis, who was a golf professional at the Royal Montreal Golf Club up in Quebec. So he did the first 12 holes, and then in 1892, the clubhouse was built, and it is the oldest clubhouse in the U.S. And yes, you're right. The design has been mimicked many times. Obviously, it's gone through renovations and so on, but the basic or first bones are still there. And no, it's a neat looking building for sure.
So you said the first 12 holes by the gentleman Willie from the Montreal Club,
Yeah,
and
Willie
then
Davis. He was a golf pro from Royal Montreal Golf Club.
yeah,
And then in 1894, they got another professional. He was a Scottish professional to expand the course to 18 holes, and his name was Willie Dunn Jr. From Scotland. So he finished or completed the last 6 holes. And then in 1931, a highway dissected or bisected the property, so they had to bring in another designer to reroute some of the holes, and he's the one that did it, and his name was William S. Flynn, so another Willie, which is quite interesting. If your name was Willie, they liked you as a course designer, and he did the major redesign. So
that is that's a lot of Willie going on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. What happens behind those closed doors, we don't know. But
It's none
yeah,
of our
no, it's
business.
quite interesting, and it's Shinnecock Hills is the only venue to host the U.S. Open across 3 different centuries, which
Mhm.
is pretty cool. So 1896, then again in 1986 and 1995, and then of course in 2004, 2018, and 2026 this year. So that's kind of an interesting little fact. I mean, it's pretty cool when you think about it.
Yeah. And it just tells you the game of golf, how now it's spanning 3 centuries, or at least touching 3 centuries. Uh,
Absolutely,
back
absolutely.
to
And so Shinnecock, this is the 6th Open that it's hosted. Of the 6 Opens, only 3 players have ever finished under par in the history of the 6 Opens held at Shinnecock. The first one was 1986, Raymond Floyd, and his score was -1.
mm,
And then it didn't happen again till 2004, and there was 2 players. Retief Goosen won at -4 in 2004, and Phil Mickelson finished second at -2 in 2004, and he is the only player to ever finish under par at Shinnecock in the U.S. Open to not win.
wow.
So yeah, kind of a neat fact.
That's interesting stuff. The history is rich with this. It was I when they first started doing the first 12 holes too. It was on Shinnecock Nation land. So and the indigenous
Yes.
community had a lot to do with clearing the land and forging the golf course into the it's right on the shore. It's as close to the link style golf in North America as you can get to something that you might find in Great Britain, Scotland, or Ireland, or something like that. It's
Yeah,
probably
I've never
the
been to
closest.
Long Island, but it's supposed to be beautiful, and it's close to the Hamptons, I believe,
Yeah,
which is quite a posh area as well on Long Island. And you're right, there was 100 band members from the local Shinnecock Indian Nation that helped build those first 12 holes.
So, with just going back to the designers and everything, let's get our code word going here for people who are listening to the podcast and looking for a little spiff, a nice little deal to take advantage of at the Canada Golf Card Driving Range and Trestle Creek Golf Resort. What is your code word? This will be in effect up until July 15th. What's your code word for the podcast today?
Well, I think we got to have some fun with it. I think we got to go with Willie, and you can take that any way you want. So,
Based
on a
on the
cold
three
day
Willies
today, it's self-explanatory. But anyway, it's yeah.
Okay, so that's based on the three gentlemen who, at some point over the course of the history of Shinnecock Golf Course, were part of the design team, as it were. So, Willie is the code word. This is in effect until July 15th, through July 15th, up until the Open Championship weekend. And that's for a large bucket of balls for the price of a small at Canada Golf Card Driving Range. And at Trestle Creek Golf Resort, just 56 short minutes west of Edmonton, 25% off green fees up until July 15th if you use the code word when you are making your reservation. Correct?
Yes. Yeah. So they have to call the golf shop at 780-727-4575 and tell the staff when you're booking that you're using Willie.
Using the code word Willie to get the deal on golf.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Well, we'll just remind everybody of that again toward the end of the podcast. So we've got an opportunity to talk about, and I know this as soon as we record this, it's it's time sensitive based on moving day, and it's a fluid sort of motion. There's already players that are out on the course. 70 players made the cut. I saw that there was a couple of guys that went out in the first two holes and shot 5 over, and I thought, well, I could have done that, but I don't know if I could have on this golf course. It's set up like something fierce, isn't it?
It is. And, really the wind is the factor. I mean, during the day in the first two rounds, especially round one, the wind was blowing one way, and then halfway through the round, it switched to completely opposite. And my understanding is when they designed the golf course, they changed up the direction of every hole. So you weren't going, 3 or 4 holes in the same direction. Like a true links, they switch it. So whatever the wind is doing, it's going to be different on every hole, which is pretty cool. I think the 11th hole is a short par 3, and Lee Trevino said it's the greatest par 5 in the world. And so it's pretty cool. Yeah. So anyway, it's fun to watch. This weekend is going to be great. We talked about the 3 guys that in history of the U.S. Open at Shinnecock that broke par. Right now, I think there's 10 players to start today. I haven't looked at the update yet that are under par. So that record could get broken or added to today. But it's going to be interesting to see. Wyndham Clark has a 4-shot lead going into today. Now, there's going to be some gerbils going around in his brain today because he's 1 year removed from trashing the clubhouse locker rooms at Oakmont last year. So I heard a rumor that they were reinforcing the lockers with steel plates today at Shinnecock, but I don't know if that's true or not. But anyway, so that could be bugging him a little, but quite interesting where he had such a demise last year at the U.S. Open, and here he is leading by 4. So it's interesting.
It's the other thing that's interesting too is you've got a major champion in Xander Schauffele who's kind of sniffing up. He's only 4 shots back as we record the podcast, and JT's there, and there's some Morikawa. There's some significant names that are kind of sniffing up the leaderboard. But then it's a ways back at even par. You have the McIlroys and the Schefflers and that sort of thing. That 7 shots back on this course is not something that you can't overcome, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I kind of expect Rory and Scotty to light it up a little bit today and make a bit of a charge. And no matter who you are, you see those guys and you hear the roars, and you look at the leaderboard and see them start to creep up. You're going to feel some nerves. Yes, Wyndham Clark is a past champion of the U.S. Open. I'll be honest, he was not on my dance card at all. I did not expect him to play well this week at Shinnecock, but he's got a new driver in the bag, and apparently he's hitting it he has been hitting it awesome. He's hit a lot of fairways. I didn't see that coming because he cuts the ball, which is fine, but I thought this place would get him in a little bit of trouble with the wind and such, but he's hitting it so solid. But I don't know. I mean, it's a major, and I think Rory and Scotty are going to make a bit of a charge. Schauffele the last few years has been right there. So I like his odds today. And then the guy that you didn't mention him, but Matt Fitzpatrick, he's having a great year, and he's right there, only 4 back. And he has an incredible short game. He struggled a little yesterday with his long game and irons, but he made some fabulous recovery shots yesterday. So I'm expecting big things from him today.
And the interesting thing too is day one the weather was such a huge factor, and then Wyndham Clark goes up with a 6 under, and then the weather was supposed to be a little more favorable for the players on day 2, and he was only 1 under. You'd think that would be the other way around, or at least players would maybe be able to take advantage of better weather for day 2, but that's the way it shook out at the end of day 2. Day 3, and then of course the final day, day 4. It's there's lots of things, lots of storylines. I mean, being on the ocean, basically on Long Island, and being so similar to link style golf that you would see over in Great Britain. You've always got that to worry about. Like you said, the wind direction can shift at any point, the way that the course is laid out. The other thing too is, the navigation of the golf course or of the tournament itself for the first 2 days with the players that didn't make the cut. Maybe your thoughts on a few people who didn't make the cut, like Bryson DeChambeau and Victor Hovland. What about those 2 guys?
Bryson, he's in a weird place this year. I mean, with Liv looking like it's going to collapse, and he was a head case to begin with early in his career. I love the way he turned things around, with social media and stuff. I wasn't a fan originally, but he's growing on me. But he just seems like he's not focused this year as much, and he seems to be back where he was a few years ago before he started to win a couple majors, where he gets really kind of upset and almost a little immaturity. So I wasn't surprised that he missed the cut. The other who was the other guy you just mentioned? Sorry.
I mean, there's Victor Hovland, there's John Rahm,
Yeah, Hovland.
Ricky Fowler.
Hovland is a great ball striker, but he lives and dies with his putter, and I really would have expected him to win a few majors up to now. But his putter has been a question mark. The guy that's been surprising me, and then he faded a little yesterday, was Corey Connors. He was right up there. Fabulous ball striker. He's one of the best on tour. But again, his putter has been the difference in a lot of tournaments, over the last few years. And he faded away a little bit. If he could get his putter going, though, look out, because he hits it so well. The other guy, Justin Rose, he could have a little bit of a run today. He hits the ball so well. At 40, I think he's 45 or 46 years old. Just a great competitor, and he's always right there in the majors. And I was sad to see Jason Day pull out because he's been coming along and he's been healthy and everything. And then, his back yesterday gave him troubles and he had to withdraw. So that was too bad because other than his ugly clothing line that I don't care for, he's great to watch. And so it's too bad he had to pull out yesterday, and hope he recovers quickly.
You mentioned Connors, the only Canadian to make the cut, and he ended up after day 2, he was tied for 21st at even par at +1 with Justin Rose. So there's that. Brooks Koepka, who's always been money at U.S. Opens and majors in general. Patrick Reed also missing the cut. Adam Scott, J.J. Spawn won the U.S. Open last year, did he not?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, so he also missed the cut. So there's some big names that are not playing through the weekend. It's interesting to see. And then you've got other guys who, it just makes you wonder, is Corey Connors or a Justin Rose at his age going to do something incredible? You got Tommy Fleetwood, who was at +1. But it's like you said, this is a golf course with weather and the rough and all of the quack grass is as high as your hip, and
Yeah.
who knows what you're going to end up with if you spray it off or do a snap hook or something like that. You could go from, Lion 2 to all of a sudden you've got a 7 or an 8 on your card. And nobody wants a hockey stick, right?
No, exactly. It can go sideways fast on this golf course. John Rahm missed the cut too, didn't he?
Yeah, I mentioned John Rahm.
Yeah.
He's angry as it is. Never mind missing the
Yeah.
cut at major.
Yeah, I had him in one of my pools. I thought he would do something, and he was right there. And then all of a sudden, when it started to slip away, his temper probably got the best of him. He's quite electric out there and fun to watch. I don't mind seeing them, have a bit of a little bit of a psycho show. Him and Terrell Hatton, that's another guy I like to watch. They make me laugh, and they're both unbelievable golfers, obviously. And but I was shocked that Rahm missed it. I thought for sure he was going to be up there for this event.
And Lowry
Yeah,
missed.
yeah, he's having a great year, and he's always right there. He's the total opposite. He's maybe too complacent, and mellow. Like, I don't know if he pounds a bunch of gummies before he tees off or what, but he seems like a cool dude. I'd like to see a little more fire out of him, but yeah.
That's an opportunity to get an endorsement, a sponsorship,
There you go. Absolutely.
the Shane Lowry gummies.
Yeah, and then come up with a chocolate bar to go with it. But yeah.
Sure. Okay, so moving day at the U.S. Open. The players that the back of the pack already on the course, and of course later today we'll see we'll see the leaders get out there. Who are you liking as we head into day 3 and then eventually tomorrow, day 4?
Well, I really like Matt Fitzpatrick and Xander Schauffele. Those are two that I think are going to be right there tomorrow. I think Wyndham Clark is going to come back a little bit. I know he's looked really solid. I just have a hunch. And then, on the other side, one guy that I do like, and he was tied for 11th at even par, and he can play well in the elements. Distance isn't a big factor at this golf course, is Brian Harman. Little guy, lefty, but he's won the British Open, and I kind of like him too to work his way up the board today.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with the soft spot just because I don't know why. After winning back-to-back Masters, I like Rory. I just think he's going to just sit there and kind of be in the weeds and, kind of like an alligator or a crocodile, just poke his head up and just look around and see what's happening. And then he's going to go back down, and then he's just going to kind of sneak back as everybody comes back. I think the final score is probably going to be closer to even par. I think the U.S. Open, and I don't know what it is, why they try to make it so difficult on the golfers. They don't want a -12 or a -16 or anything like that for a final score. They want it to be even par or right around there. So I think whoever is consistent is going to end up with the win, and maybe McIlroy with his distance is going to be able to keep it under control with the conditions. I just think I'm going with Rory.
Yeah, no, that's a good pick. And, that's a good point that you're making. The USGA has been criticized many times over the last number of years about making it too difficult. And they actually pulled back a little bit this year on green speed, number one. Normally, they stimp around 13. This year, I think they've said they kept it at 10. Last time the U.S. Open was here, it was ridiculous, and balls were running off the greens. And if you remember, Phil Mickelson hit a putt, and then he stopped the moving ball and took the penalty instead of letting it go, 40 feet away, and then maybe 4 putting from there. So they did scale it back. I wouldn't be surprised. I haven't watched any yet this morning, but if they sped them up, let them dry out a little for the weekend, and we might see some of that runoff, today and tomorrow, and which makes it much more difficult. These greens are severe. They're like Trestle Creek greens, but worse. So it's good. So real quick funny story. My father, who unfortunately passed away, Art News Senior. One year, his buddy, I guess it was in 2004, went to Shinnecock and watched the U.S. Open, and he brought my dad back a beautiful white golf shirt with the Shinnecock logo, which is iconic. And my dad wore it to Highlands, and he was so proud, and he's showing it off to me and all his buddies and everything. And at the 10th hole snack shack, he bought a hot dog and loaded it up, and first bite, just whap, mustard all over this beautiful white Shinnecock shirt. And God bless her, somehow my my stepmom managed to get that mustard stain out and save the shirt. But my dad, first time I probably could have watched him cry. He was so upset. So it was. I always think of it when I see Shinnecock.
That's something
I think of
else.
my dad.
We want to once again thank Chuck Dalton from Coulter Dalton Wolanski, high bid for podcast stuff with the Reluctantly Podcast Network. That was from the Teeing Up for Kids golf tournament, cdwlaw.ca, for Chuck Dalton with corporate, commercial, real estate, wills and estates and whatnot. So a pal of Art's, longtime member at Highlands. Also remind you, the Moving Day U.S. Open code word is in effect until July the 15th, when we will get ready for the Moving Day podcast for the Open Championship. You can use the code word Willie at Canada Golf Cart Driving Range on Ellerslie Road. Get a large bucket for the price of a small. And you can use it at Trestle Creek Golf Resort, 56 minutes west of Edmonton, just off the Yellowhead, for 25% off green fees up until July 15th. Again, you must call and use the code word Willie when booking your tee time. Again, the phone number to call Trestle Creek to get the code word and get the 25.
780.
Yep.
780-727-4575.
Art, always a pleasure to chat golf with you, and we'll talk to you again at the Moving Day podcast for the Open Championship.
I look forward to it. Thanks for having me, Terry. It's always fun.